Thank you so much. I'll just do a quick introduction of myself, and then we'll go into our panelists. So my name is Emeka. I've been doing marketing for a very long time, and because of my journey of marketing, I've worked in several verticals, and I've been involved at different spectrums of marketing, from experiences. That's why you see me volunteer a lot for events like this, because that's part of what I do, to marketing campaigns, lead gen, and notably now AI. And why? Ade said something very important. If you've worked in marketing, you realize a lot of things are guesstimations. So you are guessing and estimating. And secondly, from my own experience, and which I'll share with more, it's only if you're not honest with yourself, you realize a lot of the things that you do are time wasters. And as you get older, I think you should get wiser. So because of that, I now understood the importance of AI and automation. A lot of people, businesses can do more with the time they are given. We all have 24 hours, and if you're a parent, 24 hours seems like 2 hours because you have to do a lot. So that's led me into the journey of, I need to find more effective ways to get things done. So that's why I do AI and automation, and that's one of the areas that I've been involved in the past few years. But it's not about me, it's about this. We call the other guys the heavyweights. So I'll call them the warriors of Aberdeen. So we're going to be talking about opportunities in Aberdeen. And one of the things that struck me was when I was moving over to the UK, and in our visa, they said you don't have, you can't take public funds. And my wife looked at me like this. And like, what is it? Like, public funds. I'm like, okay, I don't want to take public funds, but now I have some ideas I need to execute. It would be good for somebody to fund those ideas. But the question is, Franklin, starting from you, what are the opportunities we can, in terms of accessing funding for immigrants? Is it that there is no way, if I have a fantastic idea, I can get funding? Or is it that maybe I'm not reading the guidelines very well? What is it? How can I have a fantastic idea and then get funding for that idea?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Franklin, my name. Came to Aberdeen January 19, 2020. So I'm just trying to tell a story. So how did I come about Startup Grind was that I did a book called Creed. And that time people kept saying bad news about this city. And I kept asking myself, am I in the wrong city? So I play a game and I Google online, what are the best cities in this Scotland? Edinburgh, Glasgow, Aberdeen. And I took myself 1 year. I toured around all the cities except Inverness to understand what the strength and strength of that. So now I found that there's no startup grind here in Aberdeen. And I want to say that, to go back to what those guys said, we don't go out. So most of the things that you guys said that there are no fun, just guys, we don't go out. Second, we were together in the ecosystem and we're amazed about what one young lady is doing for the young people of that. So I'm trying to go back to what you said. So, and I saw those guys said, let's have a startup grind. And back to the story again. There's OneTech Hub here. We normally have meeting once every month. I was only black guy for maybe 6 months coming out for that event every month. And I'm not a tech person. People that read tech, they will not come. You will see them, and I will know it's not actually easy. I was only one coming all the time. Such a way that all of them know me by name. How many of us have been to OneTech Hub there? Those of people. We should start by that. If you are saying there's no access to funding, you've not been in the right place. You always be in your own caucus where you're talking about problems. But whereas if you go to where I'm not going to the side of bringing startup grind. So now we now have, I'm talking real, right?
Yeah.
Now that's how the startup grind came. And just like what I told myself before I finish my PhD, this city will change. Yeah. And I did something egoless, not about me, about the city. So now go about the funding side of things. You need to ask yourself, what business are you going to do? Are you thinking about cooking jollof rice? How many people will jollof rice serve? What's the population? What's the market? if you want to say you want to do something on food, funding for what? The people that are going to give you funding, they also want to look at what they're going to gain from it. And you must know that our population is high today, low tomorrow. So the first thing you need to understand before going for the funding, which problem are you going to solve? There are 3 sectors in this Scotland: the health tech, and the data and AI, and the energy. So if you are going to get the funding, go to those 3 areas. And what you do in those 3 areas, just be looking for problem. In the morning, problem. In the afternoon, problem. In the evening, problem. Because where the problem is. And I'm a PhD student, I can't do business, and I play game myself. I used to go to the beach, and you know what I see in the beach? The offshore wind. I'm a geoscience person, and I say, what is this offshore wind all about? Actually, the offshore wind cable doesn't work well. I'm trying to use AI to, so, okay, I'm still at the stage. I'm going back to the funding you asked for. And I saw there's an accelerator program, University of Aberdeen, which is just based on that stuff. And I said, I only have idea, and you know that they gave me £1,000 just because to sit down with them. And they told me that what just you have, just to sit down to learn. And they told me that what you have in your hand is an high growth idea that can change the whole of Northeast. So their fund is there. It's just that you have what they can put their money on. Like for me now, if you are coming for me to put your money, I will ask you, does this thing, so before you, and I have interviewed in the past 6 months, I've interviewed Rotimi Alabi, who has raised £12 million just because of problem. I've interviewed Bina Sharma, who raised $12 million in just 1 year. I've interviewed Ian Mackenzie, who has raised 41 million pounds. So and one of the things I gather, one of the things I gather all of them is that the hunt for problem bring funding. So and this country is flat. So if you have creative, not idea now, if you have solution for a problem, there are a lot of support systems that will guide you, even to write business plan, to write there's business gateway there that will teach you how to do business stuff, they will teach you business model, they will guide you, they will get the information session such a way that you won't get the funding and they will assist you. So there's no challenge about the funding. The challenge is about, do we see the problem? Do we see where everything is going? And as I was sitting down there, do we read reports? There's a test-scalar report that shows that where the problem lies, but we go to this place, the world is going to this place. And lack of information, I hope I'm not talking too much. Right? so the goal is that we don't go out. We don't go out. We don't go out. So the person that doesn't go out, we always think that everything is against that person. The more you go out, the more you see that. I've attended one event in Glasgow. That's my first Africa event. They asked me, do you need job? I said, no. They said, if you need job, we'll give you now. I said, no, I only come here to learn. So the more, go back to what starting, yesterday we were together here, Golf Tech yesterday. You know, when we were planning Tech of Aberdeen, I was only one black guy in the whole of the meeting. And where Tech is going in this city, I know everything, but we don't go out. So the fund is actually there. But if you have a problem to solve, they will give you the money to solve, because what build a city, I'm sorry to say, it's not 9 to 5, it's entrepreneurship.
Thank you.
Entrepreneurship build the city, not 9 to 5. Entrepreneurship build the city, not 9 to 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Please, water, we need water to carry. But that's on the lighter side. There's something we say in Africa. They say what an old person can see sitting down, a child cannot see even if it climbs the highest tree. And it's based on experience. Sheon has been a pathway for a lot of us. When I came into the city, he was one of the first people that I kind of connected with. And all his ventures and adventures, I'm one of his top supporters, because I understand the importance of knowledge, I understand the importance of guidance. And there's another thing we say back home in Africa, they say follow person who knows. So it means that follow the person that knows the way, the pathway. And Sheon has invested in this city and in Scotland and the UK to know the way. Now, talking about building a city based on entrepreneurship, I want to talk to Mo Khan, because Mo has not only does he have platforms, he's also integrated with the locals, let me put it that way. He understands the small business, their heartbeats, their challenges, and he has a platform that's also enabling that. Shion has spoken very well. And I will say this from experience, especially when I go to do like school runs. I leave work because I work from home, I work remotely, so I quickly go and do school runs. And I noticed something. Each time I go to do school runs, I see the fathers that come pick their children. They're either painters, roofers, they're all small business owners that come do school runs at the same time. I'm like, okay, maybe I'm in the wrong profession. Something is not adding up here. Because if you pay attention, you can see what's happening. So Mo, the question is, entrepreneurship is building a city. Where is the opportunity? Because we don't want to leave it as a blank statement, entrepreneurship. So people leave here and they say, oh yeah, I want to be an entrepreneur, man. I'm ginger. What sector?
Yeah.
What pathway should I follow?
There's only one pathway, no? There's loads of pathways. I think, first of all, I'm Mocan. I think you can tell by my accent, I'm not from Aberdeen, I'm from Glasgow. I'm a non-technical founder. I started my digital agency about 4 years ago. In the last 18 months, we rolled out the second arm of our business, which was a localized marketplace. Long story short, trying to create an Amazon for the high street, cataloging what's on your doorstep to allow you to search, browse, and buy instead of, buying from abroad all the time. So where's the opportunity? I think I can only speak about my own journey, and that's really the only insight anyone can really give. I was never really great at anything, but I was good at most things. So did a law degree, didn't want to become a lawyer, worked in an actuarial firm, didn't want to play the corporate game. Moved up to Aberdeen purely by chance. Anybody that moves up to Aberdeen, I don't know about you guys, they never think it's long-term or permanent. and then it just ends up being permanent. And the pandemic hit. And I think when I was speaking about experience, I'm a risk-averse person. I'm non-technical. And it was because of the pandemic, because I didn't get furloughed, I was able to have an income coming in whilst also starting something that I believed in, which was my digital agency. And that's called Market Ethically. And where's the opportunity? For me, opportunity is small business. It employs them across the nation. It yields the greatest amount of revenue for them. And it actually produces tangible benefits to the communities these businesses are in. And I would say we can get lost in thinking a good business is a business that raises money. No, a good business is something that solves something, has core fundamentals, and deals with a root cause and an issue, and addresses that well. I'm going to use the example of what we spoke about. The opportunity lies in perspective. Yes, I might not be a migrant. Someone might be a migrant. Someone might be a student. But it's that collection of perspective and experience that drives your interpretation of what's going on around you. So if that's in ed tech, health tech, whatever the field is in, never denigrate or disparage where you've come from and where your perspective is, be that culture, faith, family, money, struggles. These all contribute to your unique perspective. And when you have a unique perspective and you have an issue that you like to address or something that bugs you, I'll tell you what bugs me. Inequality bugs me. It annoys me that we can have something as simple as buying and selling, but it benefits only a concentrated few amount of people. And the pandemic was a time where we had a social crisis, a health crisis, and an economic crisis all converge at once. And the only benefits, and I'm being biased here, was Amazon and Temu, etc. That was the only benefit. That was the only commerce that was going on. So that's what bugged me. That'd be my only advice if you want to start in business or follow a career path. What actually bothers you enough to get out of bed or to read an article or to do a course? What really pisses you off? I think anger can be a great motivation for something. Anger is the best way I find my own, and speaking of self-awareness, it's my motivator. So the opportunity lies in, where am I pissed off? What can I do to make something that pisses me off better? And am I skilled enough to do so?
I love the way you put it. You were pissed enough to solve the problem. And for a lot of people, you become an entrepreneur because no one intends to hire you. You write so many CVs and applications, and you get so many unfortunate, and you're like, something wrong with me. I can actually solve this problem, so maybe I might just start something and instead of waiting for the next opportunity. And that's kind of like what leads me to Pitt. And I remember when I met Pete and everybody like, yeah, Pete is the guy. Pete can do this. Yeah, the website here, Pete this the tech stuff, the AI. Pete. I'm like, okay, who is this Pete guy? God said, let us meet him. So the question now is, Pete, for a lot of migrants trying to transition from the corporate sector, because in case you guys didn't get the memo, this is the memo. You're back home. The plan is, if you are moving to the abroad to do a master's or get a good job, that's the plan. So your parents tell you that. Everyone around you tells you that. And the sweet thing is, especially if you had someone in your family that maybe work for, like he can say, Schlumberger, Shell, any oil company, that becomes the last step. You need to go and do the same. If you are going to have an oil sector, okay, please get a job in Shell. So now, if you get or don't get the job in Shell, my question is, how do you now decide that, okay, you should have been here, but that's what
it should.
It should, right?
I'm going to reference.
It's good reference.
Yeah. So
how do you now
because
decide?
when he was speaking about how he started,
Exactly,
he didn't tell you that I own his logos and
everything. Exactly. So how do you now decide that, you know what? The question is, how do you, as a migrant or someone new into a new environment, how do you now decide, okay, you know, I need to transition from a 9 to 5 into starting a business? How does that happen?
Yeah, mate, thanks, Emeka. You know, this whole setting has been amazing. Again, this whole idea started from Edward, you know, speaking in different platforms, and I reached out to him and says, you ought to do something about this. You're really concatenating a lot of the things that I like, you know, but however, as you say, I'm doing far too much. So finding someone who can do this, perfect. You know, and he embodied a lot of the qualities of, like I said, integrity, trust. You know, someone you could really follow, and within a few weeks, he followed right through. So I'm Pete Preston. I've been in Aberdeen for, I don't know, Yakin was here in 2004. I was here in 1992. So, so a lot of time here to get to understand the dynamics of the fabric of the city. You know, so it hasn't been easy. I grew up here, so as a child, I would walk from the city center all the way to the airport. That was the only entertainment you had here.
Wow.
It's just meeting people. You just walk from here to Tory and back. Everything was just walking and just meeting your little cohorts of friends at different places. That was, I mean, you see Union Square and all that. We didn't have all that. So those are the kind of things. But going into that, I went to Aberdeen Uni. I worked in Aberdeen Uni with Edward. Edward was in HR. I was in IT, so I ran the IT department. So I used to work when they used to rotate tapes within server farms.
Whoa.
Yeah, I worked with Linux. You know, exactly. So I didn't even know what design was. So all I was a prompt screen. I hated design. Anything that had to do with that interface. It was like, these are the idiots. You know, we were the real technical guys behind the scene. Yeah. So, and I worked in Edward Wright building and had so many interactions. Well, I also DJ'd. So I was known as DJ P. People here know, they go, yeah, so Edward sometimes would refer to me as DJ P. So I think, you know, so I did computing and I did sociology. So I'm able to have the right and left part of it, you know, so to be able to balance in between. So for a rare person, I enjoy both. But going back to your question, it's been said here about the pain. You know, sometimes it is the pain that takes you into what you're doing. So I wanted Edward here because he referenced me how he was frustrated with trying to get into an HR company. And even though he got really high in the interview stuff, and he didn't get it, so he was quite down. So I said, you know what? You can start your own. And he probably never heard of entrepreneurship, just wanted a job. And I said, yeah, you could. And I said, well, what I can do is I can make a logo for you. I also do design and things. I can make a logo for you and we'll do a business card. And then we can worry about a website. How much are you going to pay me? He had no money then. So I said, okay, we'll start. I said, but one thing you have to do, again, to catch on to what everyone else is saying, is you have to go out and network. And at that time, we're speaking just over a decade ago now, there was an organization called BNI. And I says, you have to join to give you structure and to learn how to be So Edward they would start 7 a.m. in the morning. Edward was there about 5:30. So whilst I feel like I own Edward, I started Edward, but his work ethics is incredible, it's insane, way beyond mine. I don't work, I'm more creative. I like to just vibe and just make things happen organically, and that's me, I'm quite happy that way. But coming to that thing, if you have the pain of maybe where you are in this space and you feel a bit constricted, so entrepreneurship might be called. Well, I don't think it's for everybody. So it's okay to say, oh, I want to be, it looks like that. But no, I really don't think it's for everybody. So I think it's something that you'd have to really, measure. So any of the people, I've started with so many people who had ideas and helped them build. As far as it comes to design, I know that one of the things you need is your business cards and a website. That I can do for you, just like that. That's what I did. I had an agency. I had easily 8 staff, working. We had contracts with the NHS, energy companies. So that's what we're doing. So we're doing it in a great space. But come COVID, everything changed for me, because just before COVID hit, I got married. This was 2020, February 16th. And I remember my wife's from Orkney. And one of the things they have is they have this tradition where it's called a cog, and they mix it with lots of alcohol. But what you do is, now before I say that, I'm a germaphobe, but you go around the guests and they put their head and drink from it and pass it around. If you don't drink, they say you don't wish the couples well. So for this segment, and it was going around, and everyone was drinking this, and it was fine. Well, when they were leaving to go home, because I had about 240 guests from all over, when they're leaving to go home, on the plane, they were getting tested for temperature if you had this COVID thing, So I actually created a super spreader without knowing it. Yeah. So 240 guests globally, going back to wherever they're coming from. Yeah, so I didn't tell the government this, by the way, so that's that's secret data, so we can keep that here. So that's what happened. So, but during COVID, I had maybe 100 clients and things. Edward, all Edward's business, I do them as well, and I'd have clients say, sorry, Pete, we don't want the website anymore. We've had enough. We don't know what's happening. So out of maybe 100 subscriptions and things, they kept disappearing. There was 1, 2, sometimes like days 10. Before COVID, the NHS had said, Pete, we can't keep paying you this amount. We need to say, well, you know what? I'm happy with half. So we agreed to half. Then after a while, they're like, no, screw you. We're not paying anything. This is too much. So I lost a big chunk of my contracts, which was one of the things that allowed me to be able to just swag and flow, because I have these things going through. So COVID came, lockdown. Then my wife had COVID for 35 days. Now, if you think COVID, not the way you can go to the office, 35 days COVID, of that cough every minute. And being a germaphobe, I isolated her heavily. She thought, I would never even look her again, because even I couldn't hide my disgust, because of that state that she was in. So anyway, long story short, then she says, let's have a baby. I'm like, wow, this is good, we could practice YouTubers. But 1 month later, she said, we're having a baby. So now I'm losing all my clients. I'm owing money from this big wedding, and we're having a baby, so we need a bigger place. Yeah, and I live in Hamilton Place, So, and she was like, no, we're staying here. I'm like, no, we need to go 1 street across, even if it was a bigger place. So, which was what we did. So things were kept mounting. So income was shrinking.
Mm-hmm.
I was going
And responsibility was
just
increasing.
enlarging. So it was really, really tough. So, but within all this time, this Edward was still shining. I didn't understand what was happening, because I thought everyone was isolated. But he discovered LinkedIn and leaned into it heavily by still being on Zooms, meeting people, really connected. So when it came to 2021, end of 2021, to where we don't come out, I used to own an office on Queens Road, and I moved to Marshall Street, now here at OneTech. I came out to network. This was the first networking I came, unfiltered. And I came in with my usual swagger, and I got here, everyone looked at me like I wasn't even there, like, who's this guy, trying to, frankly, move me out of the way. He didn't know me there, right? Yeah, he moved like, excuse me, I can't even speak to you. I'm the boss. So I'm like, okay, there's a new sheriff in town. So with that pain of my position being taken by Franklin and the rest of this new cats, so I went back in and thought. So before this, I'd done another project, where I brought a restaurant from Dundee here. I spearheaded this thing. I invested heavily to bring this restaurant here. Found the venue, everything that's inside that place, including the sound system. But things happened, so I needed to pivot. If I wasn't more profitable, I was swivel. Yeah. So because if you look at what it was, if you said don't limit yourself to one thing. So if you go that way, say for instance like a restaurant and all, that's your hat.
Yeah.
And that wasn't me. So I was trying to put myself in that place when really it would have just killed me. So I went back into my creative self, and last year, when I stopped being with the restaurant last year, I started 2 products. I didn't know one of them was starting actually. So I started intentionally a concept called cultural harmony, because I was listening to a lot of the diversity and inclusion talks, and I didn't feel there was any outcomes. I see all these guys, have seminars, panels, and they would speak about their stories and things, but there was never any outcome of, okay, so what's the good of this?
Yeah.
So I said, okay, the experience maybe is what was missing. So that's how I came up with a company called Cultural Harmony, to create an immersive experience of celebrating cultures, inclusively. Like if you come into the place, you need to talk, just zip it. You're celebrating West Africa or South Asia or whatever it is that we're doing at the time. So, but within that time, I also, again, because of lockdown, I don't know if some of you got disoriented with the whole lockdown thing. I really had some mental issues. And but where I live, you had your black bin and you had your recycle. I could never work out which one was coming, which one. It was a nightmare. So what would happen is I'll wait till my neighbor Don, put his bin out. I'll say, okay, that's what we're doing. And I looked around and saw that the whole street kind of waited for Don to put his bin out, and then we'll do it. So I said, what if Don falls out with his wife or something and says, right, let me screw with this guy. So I put the wrong bin out, just to mess up the whole thing. And then we're all mashed up for about a whole month, because it's every 2 weeks to come to clean this up. So I was desperate to create a bin app that would remind me of, what day of the bin is. And I spoke to C-Fine and all. I said, I could create an app whereby if you wanted to recycle, could do like TikTok videos from TikTok, you can point your phone to the object, and it would tell if it was recyclable or not. So it was a kind of a shiny idea. But again, it served only a small population. Well, like we're speaking to people, I then realized that if you came into the UK newly you want to stay here, either as a student, economic migrant, or education migrant, you had to register for a bank account, provisional driver's license, doctor surgery, council tax, so many things. But they were all scattered across the internet. So I said, okay, light bulb moment. So what if we could put all of these into my app, and have it as something else? And that's when I met my other co-founder, Naveen, who came for something else. And I started sharing about this app, this BAME app, and something for the migrants. And he was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm like, what the hell? So he said, there's equity in this. So we came working. Long story short, we threw the BAME out and focused on that experience for new people, not just migrants, but new people coming into the UK. Huge project. So which is why you would find that it had never been done, because it was such a huge, now I can see that. I should just stop in Aberdeen, just focus on Aberdeen again. But we're in it now, and that's what we're doing. So with that, I have two products. But again, to go back to it, it's something that you need to think for yourself, learn. There's lots in the ecosystem, and I haven't even realized a lot of what Dr. Ataru said, because that self-investment is key. It's absolutely key. I looked at all three S's, and that's the one that stood out for me the most, because I think it's the one that we don't do, all of us collectively. It costs money, time, but it's the one thing we don't do. But I think for value, that's the most thing that you have to do to get yourself into the right shape and right time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Can we put our hands together? Now, I know we don't have a lot of time, but there's something that is common if you want to start a business or if you're currently running a business, and that is challenges. It's every business's kryptonite. You must face challenges. You can't avoid it. It's like you wake up in the morning and something is not going on right. And for a lot of founders, you are more or less a fireman. You're always quenching one fire or the other. Something is, this is not going right. I would like to start up with Franklin, and then Mo will take it from there. What, from your experience, what are the common challenges migrants face? Let's start with that. Then Mo will talk more from a general point of view for businesses in general. But Franklin, from your experience, what are the common challenges migrants face when it comes to either starting or growing a business?
Thank you. I think the first thing a migrant faces is that not having broad understanding about how things work. So that is a challenge in itself. And so once a migrant is able to understand how the landscape work and that's the first step. The other thing is that to also see how will that migrant channel the resources. When, like for instance, if I want to start a business now, it's not the same we start business back in Africa the same year. What's the first step? Maybe I have to open an account, maybe open this, or maybe does my visa support that? All of that. So those basic things, a migrant has to be conversant with that. Then there's something here in this place. Also going back to some challenge also is finances, right? So finances, because how do I get finances? So again, to solve that is through pitching. I've learned that from Growth Malabi. So most businesses, what affect them is money, right? So how do you get money? All of that is to go through pitching. You pitch through competitions. That will solve that. And also scalable. So I think every business faces a level. But the first thing I think is information, because information is key. And I think most migrants, they lack information, and most migrants believe too much in the idea. And most times it's not the idea that sells. It's actually what you are bringing to the market. So I'll go back and say it's information, and I'll go back to what I've said. Migrants should go out. I'm sorry to say this, everyone will not be happy. Not in this circle. All our information here is at our level, right? Yesterday, I thought I understand this ecosystem. I found that I didn't know anything yesterday because I saw somebody of GovTech, who was surprised. GovTech, I was like, wow. I was even said I'm going to stay one day with the elder to understand it again. So what affects most migrants is information, because we are coming to a new place. Emeka can still tell us that despite she has been over the years, we still need to learn and learn and learn. May I shock you guys? Everybody's happy about AI. AI is not a real thing now. There's a book I just read, Trivergence. They are going to combine IoT, blockchain, and AI. So when everybody is happy about the AI, those guys are going to come with another new wave. So you see, we're going to catch up with information. So if an immigrant sacrifice 6 months of information, you won't be stranded.
Fantastic. I love that. Amazing. Mo, over to you.
Yeah, challenges. I don't know if I'm the right person to speak. I've never had a problem in my life. No. I think I never thought of myself as a ethnic minority really growing up. Born, raised Glasgow because of family, not really. I think culture and religion are always intertwined with how you then view your ethnicity. And because of my upbringing, who I hung out with, my life generally, it never really dawned on me until I started the business. But there's a bit of context to this. Living in Glasgow, working in London, you thought you saw multiculturalism, diversity, and you didn't really think twice. It was moving up to Aberdeen, and as much as Aberdeen is a city, it's still a rural place. And that for me was the first time when I realized, oh, people just don't immediately have that trust. They don't have that immediate desire to work with you. And it took me a while to understand the cultural nuances of rural Scotland, never mind Aberdeen, never mind towns around the northeast. So again, I'm not meaning to preach or patronize. When you're here, when you're somewhere, takes a bit of time to learn the ways, what makes people tick, what are their issues, what are their problems, what makes them smile, what brings communities together. And for me, it was really useful. I remember meeting Edward at the Ebeniro Business Association as, I was just working in marketing. And it was those little things that made me understand if I did not do the voluntary stuff and I did not really actually get to hear what are small business problems, I never would have had the gumption or the research or the data to be like, well, how do I create a digital agency to benefit small businesses? How can you create something, fix something for someone if you don't actually know what their problem is? And so from the challenges side, I'm going to be a bit specific, and I hope I can share some insight here. Starting a service agency has been really, I'm sorry to say, I don't want to say easy, but it's just come naturally to me. Selling, working with clients, building projects, launching, creating things. Moving into the product realm, my God, is it a completely different arena. We've had some good things and some bad things. We've had, in the product scene, the biggest thing that I take away is when you build something, it doesn't happen immediately. It's not a case of building, it will come. The challenges that we faced is, did we do enough market research? Did we really prove that people want something? Have we burnt our money too fast? Did we try and go too early by having a team of 9 when in reality, we just had an idea? Did we really need a mobile app? It's these types of things that if you can take yourself out of your engine room and your coal room where you're working on something and you speak to people that have done it well, but really listen to people that have not done it well, because they'll give you golden nuggets of information that you can learn from. I remember I started my business because my biggest motivator was, I've had a lot of shit bosses in the past. I can do that better. That can be a motivation. So when it comes to challenges, do your research, but don't be so arrogant don't be arrogant like me and think my only way or my only research, my only outcomes are right. It was only until I branched out that I realized what I was doing wrong, what we were doing wrong, and where we need to go. And I'm so grateful for failures, because failures have guided the next iteration and the next version of things. If we continued on a path, we'd have lost all our dough. We would have had to make redundancies, and the issue, the problem would not have been solved. Yeah, we're going to take a bit more time doing it now, but I'd much rather have learnings from a pilot, focused on the things that work, and constantly improve. You never get it right once. Just make sure you're still there and you have some chips in the game so you can be there in the long run.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I wish we had all the time, but we have to cut this short. If you have any questions, we can only take like 2 questions. Okay, Freedom and the lady at the back. So, Freedom, can you go ahead?
Good evening. Thank you so far for the session. Thank you so much. My name is Freedom. I'm actually a software engineer. So, back in Nigeria, I've tried out a couple of digital products. So, some failed, some succeeded. So, I had to come here for my master's. And why here? I enrolled RGU startup program. That's what I'm talking about. So then there's something I'm curious about, right? I struggle with it. I think many entrepreneurs also struggle with it, which is marketing, right? So, and the way I look at marketing is beyond just digital marketing, where you have social media accounts, all managing your social media accounts, always tweeting and posting your LinkedIn. I found out something. So I did a program with Y Combinator. I found out that 90% of all startups fail. Interestingly, just 4% of startups end up becoming profitable or IPO or get to the point where they do IPO. And the primary reason for failure, one, is building something the market doesn't know, right? So the more conversant term for it is
Product market fit.
product market fit. Exactly. So I think I'm probably at that phase in my entrepreneurship journey where I'm not fascinated by ideas anymore. And then I'm now in the phase of execution, but the execution is strategy. So I'm trying to ask both Dr. Kenny touched on that as well, and Adi as well touched on that, and then you have more things. You've also mentioned about how you started out. I'm curious about something. Not marketing, no. Not before you wrote one line of code, not before you built your website, not before you built your social media pages. How did you practically execute? How did you really find out that people needed what you wanted to do?
I did it too late.
So,
I thought I did academic theoretical research, data, and then built something before actually, you can do the odd survey, but what's 30 people telling you something really going to achieve? I would have spent, if I could rewind, I would have spent time and time again gaining adoption, having people try what I built, but before all that, find out what they really need built.
how do you if you are to wind back, how would you practically do that? Not surveys. I'm not much of a fan of surveys.
Yeah, so every interaction, every conversation is a survey. Every conversation, every email, every exchange, if you can start learning a route and a means to ascertaining what's important from a conversation or an interaction and how it's related to your product or service, that's you constantly gaining feedback. And the one thing I would do is don't worry about making money straight away. My viewpoint on it is gain adoption, incentivize people to use something so you can learn how they're using it, why they're using it, if they're using it well, poorly, if it's helping them or not.
Can I?
Yeah,
do you-
well,
Yeah. So sorry. One more, please.
Okay.
Okay. Just to give you a podcast answer what I'm talking about. So I'm currently tinkering the idea of building a carbon credit marketplace on blockchain, right? So I've started with business gateways and I've collected some top level data about the carbon credit markets across the UK and Europe. But the thing is, the actual customers are big oil companies right now, right? So how do you do how can you do market research for knowing that one, I have zero access to that particular set of customers? How would you advise a group about
Yeah, that's a high
let me
level.
answer that quickly. One of the things when it comes to productizing that I've learned going forward now is to build small. So don't try to finish the whole chain. So if you build small, it's called proof of concept. Then you can go and show these companies they're interested in what you have. But what you need is build small and show if that thing can work. So you're not spending too much time wasting and all this thing, so that you can get them to actually see it and then give you the feedback to what they want.
Fantastic.
So let me add this one. There's nothing called giant company. They have offshore Europe last 2 or 3 months ago, and they also have offshore week conference. The idea that I have was in my brain. Do you know that I took time to approach all those offshore week companies one by one, and I was fortunate to meet one of them, and just in 5 minutes we drew what the cable So you need to meet them, write them emails, just write across. Some of them will reject, but if you are persistent for it, they will open it for you.
Yeah.
We have NTC, Net Zero TC. I raised this same issue. I think you were there that day.
Yeah.
I raised this same issue. Funnily enough, the director of NTC was there. I think just being in the right place at the right time. Sometime, there's 2 or 3 years ago, I wrote Kit Forbes that was the role of migrants in the economy. After 5 weeks, the Scottish government logo, they wrote me back and they listed everything one by one. So try it, it will work. But again, be patient.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We can time will day. Time will There's a lot to say, but we're limited for time. We're going to take the second question, but I just want to make you understand, Freedom, just to make you understand. Before we came on the panel, I shared something with Mo, and I said, okay, I've seen a problem, I'm building a solution. Would you be willing to test it for me because you're involved in that sector? You know the locals more than I do. Can I build it and pass it over to you? He said he's fine. Once it's ready, I should reach out to him. I think that's what you need to do. Build your MVP or build your proof of concept and give it to someone within the ecosystem to try it out and give you feedback. I think that will work. Please, next question.
Okay. My name is Adedoyin. So my question is to Mo. I tried to get a little insight on the challenges you faced while building your e-commerce platform.
The challenges for building an e-commerce platform. See, my biggest challenge was I was so naive going into building. Essentially, when I introduced locally what we're doing, I said, yes, it's an Amazon for the high street. Who on earth can really build something that is competitive with an Amazon for the high street? And it's those types of understandings and the challenges for the first year of development, securing B2B involvement, getting our vendors online, getting their product inventory on. We had this, I'm going to take the blame for this. I had these wild dreams about where it could go and how quickly it would take off. It would go from, a small town of 14,000 people. It would then go to here, it would then go to here, city, London by 2025. All these things, they're not challenges, but it was a misconception, a misunderstanding in my head about what it truly takes to build a tech product. There has to be a lot more, let's say, due diligence. The approach we're taking now is, what have we learned? How many people used this? What was the traffic? What was the product they bought? What was the businesses they engaged with the most about that business? What was their profile? What was their background? How did they get on the platform? And instead of just thinking, I'm going to build an e-commerce platform, commerce involves a sale. It involves multiple touch points. Strip all that back. The biggest challenge we had with an e-commerce platform is, do people truly want an alternative to Amazon? Do people want this? We did the academic research, we got some funding for it, because it's easy to say, yeah, people want to shop local, people want to save their communities, people want to action climate change. But does that materially change their behavior when it comes to shopping and making a purchase? So with our data now, we can make a more informed decision about that than when we did at the start. So my biggest challenge was thinking I knew everything at the beginning when I really knew jack all. That's the biggest challenge. And I think to relate this to where you might be in your career or your entrepreneurship journey, whatever, when you don't know anything, all you can do is ask for help and insight. And we touched on something just about a minute ago about when I built this massive team thinking we could solve everything. And when that didn't work, I then went, okay, I need to start asking questions. And I met Nick from Barclays Eagle Labs. And the best way I can describe Nick is he opened doors and drew you to people that might have answers to your questions. So if you have questions, spend time on thinking, what questions do I want answered? Then go to as many things as possible and go, well, who might answer that question? And believe me, 99% of questions you ask will get answered because people want to help. People care. It's not this competitive dog-eat-dog world. Everyone wants the best for everyone, especially in business. And I think that's where there's enough pie for everyone to eat. Never be afraid to go up to someone and ask them. The same way you asked me that question. And my answer was, yeah, can you tell me what the issues are, what they're trying to solve? Can you show me the workflow? And I was, matter of fact, I went, maybe I will recommend to businesses, maybe I won't until we have a discussion about it. But that's what everyone will give you. They'll give you their time and their discussion. So the biggest challenge, don't go it alone. Biggest problem, don't think you know everything. Do more research. It's the only way I can describe it.
Thank you so much. And on that note, we'll be wrapping this up, and I'll just end with this. What you don't know, you don't know. What you haven't learned, you still don't know. Some things take time, just like having, if you're a father, just like having a baby, it will take time. One of those things is building trust, building a network, building relationship. It takes time. And on that note, I'd like to thank my panelists for this amazing session. Can we put our hands together?